Okay, early morning on first day of the old Vanagon build here. So just kind of unpacking boxes here, looking at some of the fancy parts we got. We got some fancy CNC stuff from Kennedy Engineering. This is like the adapter, basically comes with instructions and everything. This is a custom low-profile oil pan and pickup. That way the engine isn't hanging super low and you've got decent ground clearance. So we're gonna obviously go with that. Gonna want that for camping and stuff. This is what I was referring as the mustache bar, if you will. This is just basically the engine cradle. So mounts to the Subaru motor, boop, and then mounts to both of the frame rails on the bus. This is a heat divider, I believe, for the radiator. And then we've got the modified wiring harness made for us, courtesy of Bus Subaru, I believe, which is pretty cool. Looks like we've got a test start button. I'm not sure. It came with instructions, so we'll get deeper into that as necessary. I don't know why it would come with a button, but that's cool. Whatever that. Either way, this should be more or less like plug and play-ish.
Just put it in.
Yeah, just drop it in, they said. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of boxes to go through, a lot of bolts to find, a lot of things to do. So we're going to get cracking. First things first, trying to make heads or tails of this engine harness I took off, so I got to get this all back together and on the engine. Then I can get the intake manifold back on with all the correct vacuum lines and cooling lines plumbed. And then after that, I'm probably going to put it on the engine hoist and put the adapter plate on and bolt the transmission to it. And then after that, probably going to put the engine cradle on it and try to get this sucker physically in the van. And then we can start working on linkage and drive shafts and cooling system, fuel, etc., so on and so forth. You don't care about me talking. You just want to see me do it. So that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, I'm going to get to work and I'll let you guys view via GoPro on fast motion and we'll stop and talk about things when necessary. Hello. Welcome to my fully dressed engine. It's no longer naked. So got all of this thing set up. Oh, with the exception of the oil pan, but I'll do that when it's on. Nope, I should do that now. I should definitely do that now. All right, we're gonna do the oil pan now. But after I do the oil pan, the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna get this on the hoist and we're gonna start bolting up the adapter, the flywheel, the clutch, the whole deal. So after the oil pan is on and the new oil filter is on, next step is making an engine and transmission. Oh yeah. Okay, so we're putting the pan on and I felt like it was worth mentioning a few things. First and foremost, Subaru does not use a gasket for this, so it's all RTV job. Secondly, important things. So there's an oil return, there's an O-ring that goes on that. The new pan, obviously since it is lower profile, as you can see here, this is actually just a modified Forester pan, I'm pretty sure. But you'll see the difference in the two. Gains you a little bit of ground clearance, a couple inches. So anyway, obviously when you're putting this on, the old pickup tube is not going to cut it because you won't be able to get the pan all the way down. So the thing to do, swap out the pickup tube, just like you do on M50, M52 swaps. So shorter pickup, shorter pan, gives us a little bit more ground clearance. And then we've got a new a new drain tube, an O-ring for the return, and then an O-ring for the oil pickup. So we're slapping that on right now, just in case you guys wanted to know what the heck I was doing on the old fast motion there. So yeah, back to work. Okay, so as you can see, the engine is dressed, the pan is on, the new filter is on. Engine-wise, it's looking pretty minty. Now we got to do a transmission. So, Kennedy Engineered Products makes adapters for all kinds of VW stuff. So that's what we're going to be using. You can see the Volkswagen bolt pattern here, and then there's the Subaru one on the outside. There's some very particular instructions that come with this. Follow them. They're there for a reason. Additionally, if you have an engine with a pilot bearing in it, I do not. The pilot bearing on this motor is in the flywheel, so that's okay for us. Then you need to remove it if you have a 1972 or newer transmission. Now the way to figure that out is right here. Set this down. So what I did is I just used this piece of metal here to get where the bell housing stops, and that way I can measure the length of protrusion of the input shaft. It's 1 inch. That means that this is after 1972. This is one of the newer bus transmissions. I'm pretty sure this is from a T3, which is what we're working on here. If you have the shorter one, Kennedy Engineering Products, KEP, whatever, has a lot of very particular instructions. So make very sure that if you're doing this, when you're doing this, that you're following the instructions and listening to what they say. Because if you have the long one like we have, depending on what engine combination you're using, you have to drill the crankshaft or shorten the input shaft because it interferes with the crank. Luckily, with the Subaru motor, we don't have to do that. I also don't have to pull the pilot bearing out because, like I said, came off with the flywheel. So this should be pretty straightforward. Additionally, they sent us these handy dandy diagrams that have all of the sizes of bolts on there that we need to use, and whether they're studs or what's going on, and the orientation. So you can see, comparing to the motor, that tells us where all of our fancy brand new hardware is going to go. So they make this pretty idiot proof, which is excellent. Idiot proof is good.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's all
That's
tucked.
it.
Did it go?
Yeah, it's all tucked.
Fuck yeah.
Angle the dangle.
Dangle ankle. Got two. Shoot. Transmission is on. The adapter plate is mint. Very easy to install. Gotta say, recommend 10 out of 10. Kennedy Engineered Products did a good job. Good job, guys. Good reason you've been around for a long time. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to tighten all the transmission mounting bolts. And then this engine, I think, unless I'm forgetting something, is very ready to be, or at least start to be installed. I have to wait on the engine mounts because the engine mounts are from this oddball 90 to 94 Subaru 2.2 motor that nobody really wants to carry. So when those are in tomorrow, we can set the engine bar on, this guy. We can get this beautiful little piece of work on there.
Oh, the swap headers?
Yeah, the swap.
Those are cool.
Swap headers, yep. There's also a swap muffler, which is cool. And then we can start doing plumbing things and wiring things, and yeah, the fun begins, eh?
It's going good.
Okay, so I think that about closes it out for day one on this thing. Tomorrow, we're gonna try to get the wiring sorted. I'm gonna be overly optimistic here. I'm just gonna say everything that I need to do and want to do. That doesn't necessarily get everything done. I'm gonna get everything done. But I think if I get the engine in, get everything bolted up, get the shift linkage hooked up, and get the wiring done, that'll be a win. I'm not gonna be overly ambitious and say that I'm gonna have all of the plumbing figured out and a throttle cable run and all that stuff. This is gonna be a process. So I think engine in, get the wiring on, get it to turn over, that'll be a win. So that's goals for tomorrow. Stay tuned, and we'll keep you guys updated. Cheers.